I uploaded a copy of my book, The 90-Day Coach, to NotebookLM, and I was blown away. The amount of assets I was able to create in under 30 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do this as well. So let's jump right into it. If you're not familiar with NotebookLM, it's a free tool that Google has that you can go to and you can upload sources. And once you upload your source, then you've got this main chat window right here in the middle. So over here, I simply added a source and you can upload multiple sources. I uploaded just one of my books to create one of these projects. And so over here, you've got your source material. So it reads your book. And then here is your chat interface. And then over here is what's known as Studio that can create a bunch of assets. And I've been using NotebookLM for a little bit, but I have never tried to create assets for my own book. And the potential use cases are endless. If you wanted to host your own 6-week coaching program, teaching people through your book, you can create quizzes and flashcards and slide decks and video overviews and mind maps and infographics and all really interesting material. So let's talk about how you do this. So first of all, let me give you some examples and then I'll show you how you can do this. And then in a second, I got a complete cheat sheet of some of my favorite prompts that you can put into it to create these assets for yourself. So when we look at this, one of the first ones that people really like is this video overview. Now, video overview will allow you to create an entire video over the whole book, or you can get even more granular. So this is an example of one. Let me click on this and show you. Cinematic takes a little bit longer, but it creates really good videos. You have an explainer video and then a brief, which is bite-sized. There's also a place for you to put in your own prompts where you can narrow it in and get specific. Only talk about chapter 1 or only talk about this one concept that I cover. So let me give you an example of what this looks like, showing you one that's over the whole book. So we'll just push play.
When Louisa Jew landed her very first $5,000 coaching client, she didn't have a polished website. She didn't have a logo, and she definitely didn't have a complicated marketing funnel. All she used was a simple calendar link. That one link made her instantly accessible to people who were ready to work with her. This goes against the...
Now, that was the story. That was at the very beginning of my book, the example that I wanted to use. And so we're not going to watch the entire 5-minute overview video of the entire book, but you get an idea there. Let me also show you first that if I go back over here, we'll show some other ones that are about the entire book. So here's an example of one that is a slide. So you have a slide deck right here. And just to show you your options, you can have a detailed deck. You can have presenter slides. You can choose if you want it to be short or by default. You can also give it a prompt to get very specific. Only create a slide deck based on chapter 1 in the material there. But I created one on the entire one. So let's look at that. And I was blown away at this. This one was probably the coolest thing. And I'll tell you why. The graphic that you see in the back is a graphic that's actually in my book. This is the graphic of the framework of my entire book. And if you can tell here as we go through this, it's created all of these slides for me. And so, for example, this is the exact breakdown of the 90-day framework from weeks 1 through 4 on focus. Then you move to visibility, then delivery, and then scaling. And that's how the entire book is divided. It nailed that. It got it exactly right. And it's just visually appealing. It's grabbing content, some formulas and examples I give inside the book. Something I talk about is a transformational punchline. It's got that included. How to make your coaching practice real, the pre-call filter funnel of the type of questions I like to ask, packaging your value, the psychology around pricing. All of these are coming exactly from the book, and it would have taken me a long time to create these. Even examples of the Anatomy of the Work With Me page coming from one of my chapters. This is pretty impressive. All right, let's look at something else. Another one that I really like is one that is called Infographics. So infographics are fun and easy to create. If you click on the little arrow or caret right here, whatever that is, you can see you've got a lot of options here. You can create an infographic. It's a landscape or portrait or square if you want to throw it on Instagram. You can use sketching and all these different styles if you want to go with a certain unique style. I tend to like to stay with sketch. You can decide if you want it to be concise, standard, or detailed. In it, I usually leave it as standard or I go concise. And you can also, once again, prompt it to say, create an infographic only based on chapter 1. So let's look at one that it created for the entire book. which is, I believe, right here. So this is a cool infographic, right? Again, this would have been hard for me to create, and it created it literally within a minute. 90-day sprint to fully book practice, pick one narrow lane. It's got some of the key pieces. Again, you can see my framework pyramid over here. Focus, visibility, delivery, and scaling is on there. Some really cool concepts is there as well. You can also create audio versions. You can create an audio podcast between two AI voices that will have a whole conversation. You could publish it with a blog post on your site, and it's instantly available for people to listen to. So you can do a deep dive, you can do a brief, a critique, a debate. You can choose again, short, default, or long. And once again, you can put in your prompt. And again, I've got prompts for you for my favorite ones in this cheat sheet. You could find that below in the description. So we can generate one of those. And let's go and listen to one right here.
We think, I don't want to exclude anyone who might have money to pay me.
Right. Any money is good money.
But a wide message actually just blurs your identity. When your message is this blurry amalgamation of everything, nobody sees their specific problem reflected in it.
You just become background noise.
Exactly. You don't look like a specialist. You look like...
So there's a whole conversation going on. It's a podcast that you can listen to. It's pretty amazing. Let's look at data table. So data table, I don't use as much, but it is fun just to create it and see what it will create. If you got certain information you want, if you scroll down here to the data that we created, we can make this bigger. And yeah, it just basically is a more of a column breakdown of the entire book, which is interesting. You could export this out, put it into a PDF, put it into a spreadsheet, something like that could be a giveaway for people as well. So there's audio, slide deck, video overview, mind map. Now the mind map, I haven't found a whole lot of usage outside of just it being created inside of NotebookLM. I'll give you an example here. And so it did a really good job of breaking it down to the 4 phases that I teach. So I think this is great if you are teaching a live class on Zoom and you want to be able to drill in and teach some of the most important pieces and parts of your teaching. That's great. There's just not a lot of export options for this one right now, unfortunately, other than maybe a PNG file. So that is how we use the data or the mind map. Reports. Now the reports can be fun because you can create a briefing doc. You could do a study guide, a blog post, niche strategy analysis, all of these different things, a learning module. You could basically create your own study guide or your own, I would call it executive summary if you wanted to, which is really cool. And what I created was this 90-day coach comprehensive study guide. And so it talks about the 4 phases. It breaks it down, each of the 12 weeks inside, and short answer to quizzes, an answer key, and just a lot of useful information there. Flashcards. Now, flashcards are fun for anytime you want to drill down in information that maybe you're taking a group of people through, a book club, and they are learning the material. You can use the flashcards to have fun with it. So, for example, what are the 4 phases of the 90-day coach framework? And then you guess what it is, you click on it, and it reveals the answer. And then you can say, I got it. Awesome. Or you look at the next one, you flip it over, you got it wrong, you hit no. And so this is great for learning, especially for students, but makes it fun and interactive for people that are learning through your book. Quiz. Quiz is the same thing. Quiz is also a great way for people to see how they're doing and answer the question. So it comes up with this 10-question quiz that we have here. By the way, you can stretch these columns at any time. You can collapse this one so that you can see your information better. And you come in here and you pick one and say, oh, not quite. This is actually the correct answer. Okay, next one, pick one. Not quite. It's actually D. And so someone can go through and score themselves. Great if you're running a group coaching or boot camp or something like that on your book. So we talked about all of these so far. We've hit all of these. I want to show a really fun use case of what you could do with this kind of center column here. Now, the center column is where your chat's happening. And so what I did is I asked it, divide this book into a 6-week book club program. And it took all my material and broke it down into week 1, foundation and action, week 2, structure your offers and brand, week 3, content and lead generation, week 4, the art of the call and nurturing, and week 5, onboarding and transformational coaching. And finally, week 6, social proof and scaling your time. And so what's awesome about this is it created a simple 6-week program that I could run for a few hundred or a few $1,000s to take people through working with me for 6 weeks to implement what's in the book. But what's really interesting, and I think a very fun use case, is that you can take like this information right here, copy and paste this over into these, and you can create assets each week. So you can create a video overview. I did that here with this 90-day coach week 1, and I'll just hit play so you can hear it for a second here.
Have you ever found yourself stuck in that cycle of just endless learning? You're buying the courses, reading all the books, but you never
skip
actually
ahead a little
launch that
bit.
thing? And it almost always starts with this little voice in your head, doesn't it? Who would listen to me? That's just classic imposter syndrome, questioning your authority before you've even had a chance to.
And
Forever
so
or just-
this is basically teaching through the first 2 chapters of my book. So I could have that queued up and play that for the first part of the introduction session with my group coaching program. I could also create other assets. I can create slides that are only for that week 1. So we can go through and we could teach them the principles that I teach in the first couple chapters of the book. And this just makes it so easy to be able to use this and to teach it. So we can create these for each week of our group coaching program. On it goes. I could sit here and show you a bunch of examples. Here's the infographic for week 1. Could release a new infographic. And so you can literally create this resource hub page that you can walk your students through. I'll show you an example of a resource hub page. I might do a future video on this. I use Claude to create this for a current bootcamp I'm doing. It's a 4-week bootcamp on creating paid workshops. And it looks like this. And I've got a resource hub here with resources, flashcards, where the stuff that I'm creating with NotebookLM can come in here, my schedule. And then also in here is links, quizzes, action steps that they can tick off as they come through. Now, NotebookLM is not necessarily creating this. Again, this is Claude, but I'm using the 2 to create this fun, useful, interactive experience. And they can even come in here and choose their answers for a little quiz, check their answers, see how they're doing. And then each week inside of this bootcamp, I unlock a new week, each part of that process. And so I'm curious, what would you use this for? What are some ideas that you have for using this where you've taken something that you created? And by the way, it doesn't have to be a book. It could be a webinar that you've done, you use the transcripts for. It could be a course if you've got the transcripts for the course. You could do a lot with this, but specifically for you authors out there, what kind of cool resources do you think you could create? Let me know in the comments below. And then also don't forget to click the link below and you can grab this cheat sheet. It's got my favorite prompts and ways that you can take something you have like a book and create lots of great assets for it. And the cool part is you can do this all for free. Now, if you also want to know, how do I develop that fuller business, the one that has everything I need to be doing this thing full time? There's really 9 core projects that you need to install. There's systems that you install into your business. I did a complete video called the $1 Million Messenger Plan, and you can go check out that video right over here. We'll see you in that video.